I'm still gonna be enjoying this uh, peach cobbler. Which
Peach
holy
cobbler?
crap, I have eaten so much today. I told you all about my meals, and now this.
Yeah,
Like,
now this.
good lord, this is just.
You're either gonna sleep well tonight or you're gonna have like a stomach ache tonight. I can't tell. I don't know. One of the
I
other.
got to sleep in a little because we stayed up late last night talking about Stranger Things, like real late. And poor Heather,
Yeah.
she let me sleep in, but she, had to wake up with the kiddos. And so she took a 2-hour nap today earlier to make up for it. But yeah, sleep is definitely on the agenda, but I need to like run tomorrow or something.
Right.
This is really good peach cobbler though.
Nice. Peach cobbler is good. A good peach cobbler is really good.
It's good. Hello everybody and welcome to Frostside Chat, our weekly live stream post-session discussion. We talk about what just happened during D&D. This is the chat for session 53. If you not watched that session yet, please go do that now because there will be spoilers. I am your DM, Eric, and joining me we have Robin's player, Chris.
Hello!
Edmund's player, Raymond, is ghosting us currently, but perhaps around.
He's perhaps around.
No combat this session.
No combat.
We did have a wrestling match.
No combat. Yeah, it's close, yeah.
Yeah. This pretty much ran like I expected, although I didn't expect it to take so long to get to the next destination. It was almost like it was a level up episode. We spent a lot of time just doing like loot, I guess, and maybe it was my fault for making the alien tech too complicated. Although I feel like you guys were responding to it decently well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any complaints about it, but yeah, it was a time thing. It was going to. The only mistake maybe you made is just underestimating how much time it was going to take to go through the logistics of that.
Yeah.
But in terms of the actual mechanics themselves, I thought they were fine. They worked very well. The trying to understand the machines and failing and us using resources to accomplish that.
So the only thing that I really changed was the fact that the skill checks determine your number of shots. So I actually changed that a little bit to give it a more dynamic, like in other words, you get a better reward for the better rolls that you get.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty, you don't have a wizard. You do have your one artificer who does have intelligence. But even then, he only was able to do like a 50% chance on all of those.
50%, yeah.
I kept thinking like, oh man, they're getting a lot of shots on all these. But actually, and then when we roll the bullets, it's like hardly. And it's like, all right, well, you're gonna be pretty limited on these.
DC 15 is significant. Like it's like
yeah.
At a DC 15, a character who's very good at that is gonna have a 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, because like your general like modifiers are like only even go up to +4. I think +4 like at the highest, right?
That's true. Yeah, without having that skill, that extra skill thing, then yeah, it's pretty tricky. But he's got that flash of genius. I didn't know he had the one left, so that and then your bardic inspiration was the real winner here. Every time you gave out that bardic inspiration, people were just nailing it.
Yep. Came in handy out quite a bit.
Yeah.
But and yeah, usually I have to like sort of dole it out like slowly over bonus actions over rounds. So it was very interesting just to be like, all right, just out of combat, I'm going to give up to do things.
Yeah, it was, it took a while, but I think it was pretty fun to give everybody some items and stuff. And you guys are so laden with items, I felt like there was one I just straight up didn't give you because I just didn't like the mechanics of it. And it was just too much on top of everything else. Like you already had all these bullets or the guns, and I added I tell you what I did is I added the grenades. That was not initially part of it.
Oh.
I did add those because Frey had so much fun with the dynamite, and I was like, this just seems like a fun thing to give the players to be able to huck these grenades. But all of those things had limitations where you had to make those successes, so I feel like there was at least some limitations. Yes. And obviously they were all finite stuff, so the guns don't ever recharge. You don't have to worry about reloading them because there is just nothing there, but
yeah,
you're just limited in use. So they're all limited use items, which makes it a little bit easier to give that stuff out, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll see how much the guns, if they get used at all, because I think without a proficiency bonus, that's a big deal. Like it's not a great chance to hit, but they do extra damage.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Chat, no Twinga boons yet.
They're still just hanging around us.
They're still just hanging around, yeah. The players haven't left Wormdoom Crag yet, I'll say that. So they just accepted the mission. But yeah, it was like
the critique, and this isn't a critique of you at all. I think it's almost the way adventures have to run, and kind of the way I guess 5e has sort of magic item heavy. It's just that the pacing of getting magic items is always garbage. Like no matter who's DMing, it's always like nothing for like 3 or 4 sessions, and then you get like 3 or 4 things all at once, and you have to everybody has to record them all at once, and then and the problem with that I think is that 1 or 2 items, when you're giving out 3 or 4 or 5 items, 1 or 2 of them is just going to straight up get forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like just you're gonna put it in your character sheet, but you're talking about too much stuff all at the same time.
Yeah.
So like I guess I didn't get any of the actual magic items, but Edmund's gonna have to remember that he got that monocle.
Yeah.
Because he also got laser rifles, and I feel like that was like the more like big colorful one.
That has been, I guess it's a coincidence that's been happening in this dungeon, but back to back areas, you've gotten all the treasure from like one area.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was obviously a treasure hoard.
It's a common thing in 5e.
The dragon thing. Yeah, I mean, it's like here's the treasure room where everybody's keeping their treasure versus trying to find specific items elsewhere. So, and
even if it's not, it's often you get 3 or 4 things, but you don't identify them until all at once.
Right. That's also true.
Which basically equates to the same thing of just dumping a bunch of loot all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
it's a lot of bookkeeping and stuff. It can be exciting if the items are really exciting, and this was a more dynamic thing where people had to like investigate and grenade blowing up and stuff.
That's right. Yeah, like Drillbot.
Poor Drillbot. Yeah, forgotten about. And with the long rest, he gets recharged. That's also. That's right. I forget. I think Edmund is supposed to roll his potion. You were supposed to do your temper hit points for everybody. I think we forgot a lot of the long rest bookkeeping stuff that happens.
Yeah, which I need to remember to do my 15 temp hit points at the beginning next session. Yeah.
Which we didn't go through any hit points.
Got a bold potion and a flight potion.
Oh, you did roll? You did get him?
Yeah, I did it. I was going to sneak for the bold potion, but I realized they wouldn't help with her wrestling match.
That was funny. I thought it'd be pretty interesting going into it. I was like, oh, I wonder if she'll rage. I wonder if she'll use one of her special dice, and that could get pretty interesting. And then it's like, I'm going to drink a potion of Frostmaiden strength. It's like, oh, I didn't know you had that. Well, now you've got a plus 10, and it's going to be pretty hard to lose.
Right, yeah. I in hindsight, I wonder how much, if you intended us to take it as seriously as we did, because we started using, like stuff.
Hey, the DM is always ecstatic when the players start using finite items, because that means you have perceived a very dangerous threat that you need to use things on. And it is funny how, like, I've witnessed this so many times. The players are in a fight that's going so badly, and I'm like, why aren't they using more of their stuff? This is getting really painful for them. And then other times they'll perceive, it's like we have to jump across this 10-foot gap, and it was like, oh god, I gotta drink my potion of my potion of flight, and I gotta click my heels and do all my things, and it's like almost a nothing thing.
Yeah.
And it's so funny you just can't ever anticipate. I mean, you can try to anticipate that, but it gets really challenging to try to get somebody out of the chat real quick. Oh, please. There we go.
But yeah, to tie out the items, I think it's a really neat kind of, what's the word, anachronistic idea that we now have laser rifles and laser pistols. I like it. It's fun, but like, yeah, it was like, oh, okay, we're gonna arm our medieval fantasy characters with some laser rifles for a little while.
I like it. I really like this angle that this one has, the whole spaceship thing. I think that was a cool part of it, and yeah, the fact they just straight up have these, which I did not add that is part of the. I added the grenades, but the laser rifles and laser pistols are straight up part of it.
Nice.
So I was like, yeah, I'm fine with giving the players this, and I'm fine with the way I changed it was to have the more limited shots, because initially they came with like so many shots that it didn't even matter that it was limited. You just be able to use them forever. And I was like, all right, I'm going to make you actually like roll for the shots, and then only if you had succeeded in all the checks and rolled really well in the shots would you be able to get the same number of shots that you would have gotten as written in the book. So I limited it quite a bit more. But we'll see. I've heard a lot of people say that they don't even use the guns at all because the players just found them too complicated and too much of a pain in the ass to even make the checks. They're like, oh, whatever, we're not going to use this. And my worry was I overcorrected too much, and like you guys would be like, oh, fuck this. But it felt like you guys were at least on board with it. So
yeah, very much so.
And then we got to Wormdoom Crag finally, and I did figure you guys would probably. I was hoping you wouldn't long rest, but there wasn't anything. There's a lot of ways I try to limit you guys, but there just wasn't a conceivable way I could come up with to limit you here.
That's a tricky thing. You've done a pretty good job this whole campaign of like keeping us to one long rest per level for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you were saying of like
especially with the airship, it's like I don't know if I can ever stop them from long resting between areas now, which is a bummer because I feel like there's just not enough encounters per area to actually balance it for a once per day. All right, what the fuck? Did I not do this correctly? Sorry, guys.
Walk somebody?
I thought I did. Okay, they're hidden now, so.
Okay.
Now you shouldn't have to deal with it. Thank you. I lost my train of thought. So yeah, with the resting thing, that's probably the trickiest thing to balance around D&D is if you let the players rest too often, the balance just goes out the window.
Yeah.
And I think been able to do that pretty well this campaign, and you guys have done a good job of letting it go on like that. But now that you have this airship, essentially, it's almost impossible for me to not just say, like, no, you can't long rest. Like, well, we're just gonna hover in the air for another like day or something.
Right.
So we'll see how the balance goes from here on out.
You know, we're not the type of players to abuse it, to be like...
No, and that's been...
Technically we could right now. We could walk out of Wormdoom Crag and go like,
yeah,
we're going to go long rest in the ship and then go to the new place.
Correct, yeah.
But we're not going to do that because we understand just the general,
Yeah. I think if Celeste hadn't been suffering from exhaustion, you guys almost would have just short rested there because you hadn't short rested at all. And it literally had just long rested the previous session. I would say that long rest is the first time this whole campaign where I felt like, oh, damn, I wish I could have stopped them from doing that and just made them go through another short rest cycle.
Yeah.
But I may just have to rethink the balance on some of the future areas, knowing that I don't think I can stop you guys from long resting in between each area now.
Yeah. And I feel like that's totally fair. I think it's kind of fun sometimes. It's just, okay, you guys are a long rest, but more often, the volume gets turned up.
Yeah.
In between rests. I think that's totally fair.
Yeah. Which can be tricky because a lot of these areas are initially designed for like level 5, and I'm already upscaling them to even deal with the higher level that you guys are at.
Yep. I mean, when I was doing, and not so much in this last campaign, but when I was doing Storm King's Thunder, there was so much long travel of like days would go by between encounters that I knew that was going to be constantly long rest. Like you guys are going to be fully rested at almost every encounter.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I felt comfortable like throwing fucking zombie storm giants at you that could down a player in one hit, because I'm like, they're going to be the long rest before this, and they're going to long rest right after this. So This is the entire day's worth of danger all in one creature. Let's go.
Yeah, the problem is you can do that, but it still makes it shits on the short rest classes. Is the problem.
Does.
The fact that they balance certain classes around the fact that you shouldn't be getting a long rest between 1 and 2 fights or encounters. Which is
obviously a little bit of a complaint I have with the D&D fighting system in general, of the like war of attrition style of a camp or danger. You're not intended to face one big danger. You're intended to face lots of smaller dangers over the course of many hours.
It's like a JRPG dungeon, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
But even that one, they always balance those to where you have a save point at the end, and then you get to fully heal and rest up. So the boss fights are designed to be like the maximum level, and that's not the way the D&D is designed. They want you to be like drained and have the players like responsibly like manage their resources. So
I've never really liked that
style, because I'm the same way.
Like the giant set pieces of like everybody's super powerful, everybody's just going all out. I can make the villains go all out. The heroes can go all out. But anyway, we won't abuse your airship. I promise.
Yes. So yeah, Wormdom Crag. I actually ran this one pretty much as written, except for the obvious inclusion of the axe, and the fact that I connected the axe and that Goliath to this clan. And then made him the sun just to add a little bit of extra spice on there, and then had the whole challenge. Basically, all that stuff was not from the book. That's stuff that I thought was a cool connection with the and the fact that Frey was all about this axe. That's kind of becoming her personal arc, is just dealing with the enhancing the axe and dealing with the Goliaths.
And like encountering people who don't like that she has the axe.
Yeah, basically. Like I did like having to be able to follow up on an NPC that knew you guys. I think it's always a fun thing to do, and be able to vouch for you. And it's a way for the players to be reflected on the experiences they've had. And, because oftentimes you can go off and do these adventures and you get really powerful, but the world doesn't even necessarily know that because you're always just meeting new people. So it's nice to be able to meet somebody who's like, hey, yeah, these are the badasses that I ran with before, and serve as a kind of through line. Yeah. I thought the wrestling match was pretty fun. That's something that the Goliaths are, a warrior tribe, but this particular clan is like sports jocks. They're like really just into like doing that.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be a fun twist. And Frey even said like, you'll pride for my poor, cold dead hands. I'm like, no, this isn't a fight to the death. That would be too easy. This is just going to be a wrestling match. And then you guys hilariously like buffed the crap out of her for it, which
probably overpowered her for what
definitely overpowered her. But I
thought it was going to be something a little bit like more strenuous,
right? But like a series of a gauntlet. Like no, especially when you do like a one player doing a thing, like you don't want to you want it to be fun, but you don't want it to be a whole big thing.
Yep.
So that was really funny that you guys did that and just absolutely like made sure that she was going to keep that axe.
That's right.
And then the little tunnel thing was kind of the backup plan in case she did lose the axe. She could go through the tunnel and then do the quest to kind of re-earn the axe. And then I was like, well, they could just do the tunnel to become clan members, and then they can properly like engage with diplomacy to their clan.
Here's a question though: what actually would have happened had she lost? Because here's the problem statement. I don't know that had she lost, she would have given up the axe. Would it have? Would the potential have been there for that to turn into a fight if she just said no? I'm keeping this axe.
I mean, anything can be a fight. Like
that, yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. That's almost why it felt so important to win, because it was clear that these were not hostile NPCs, but because players are so protective of the their stuff.
Very very true.
It's like if there are nice people that we're supposed to be interacting with nicely, and they say, well, you have to give us this item or we're going to become hostile. I feel like most of the time the player's going to be like, well, then become hostile. Come and take it.
That might have happened. Honestly, it would have been, obviously you guys probably would have tried to diffuse that situation. I would have been willing to play ball socially to an extent, but yeah, it could have come down to, there are a lot of Goliaths. You guys are very strong, obviously, but Goliaths aren't necessarily a commoner stat block.
Right.
And there are a lot of Goliaths in that cave. So that would have been clearly a major twist in my campaign.
Yeah.
But it's also a side quest. It wouldn't have necessarily broken anything either. So, and really, most of the time, you guys can't break things that are happening. I've tried to construct it that way. So, I don't know what would have happened. That's the joy of D&D. Like I'm not sure. Right. I had the same thought that there's no way she's going to want to give up this axe. So I hope she wins.
Yep, exactly.
But it's not. It's the DM's job to throw problems, and if I try to come up with solutions to everything, I'm going to go mad.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
so
fair. Totally.
I'm honestly not sure what would have happened, but the impetus would be like she would be honor bound to give to. Now I would have said, complete this quest, and then you would be granted a boon from us, and the boon could be to get the axe back. And she probably still wouldn't have wanted to do that, because I don't think she wanted to part with the axe for a second. But I would have given her a chance to earn the axe back after completing this mission.
Right.
But the other option would be to turn all the Goliaths hostile, or maybe you guys do some. Maybe you offer them another magic item in payment, or do So I would have maybe tried to work with you guys somewhat on that.
Yeah, if we had tried to just get out of it a different way.
Yeah. But yeah, we kind of got through everything I wanted to do here, which was talk to the chieftain, have the big little challenge match with Frey, call her out on the axe. Yeah.
But just because I know D&D can do this sometimes, like make art of things that don't matter and have things seem important that don't matter. But maybe you can't tell us because we're only beginning this quest. Does the ball game matter? Because there was a whole picture of the ball game they were playing, and I was like, "Are we gonna have to play this game? What's gonna go on with this?" And we kind of just left it behind. But
that's one of those things where I put up a bunch of notes in case the player, and it was just one of those like, hey, if the players want to be engaged with this, if they want to be like, yeah, we want to play, we want to do this, then yeah, you can totally play. There's rules for it. You can bet on it and be engaged with it, but everybody was just kind of staring at me stone faced. I was like, all right, let's go this way into this cave and get on with the story then. So it's one of those, you're throwing the darts at the wall, trying to figure out what players are interested in doing. Yeah, exactly. and clearly it was, they'd seen the picture and just were like, all right, let's just move on. So like, that's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things where you could have engaged with it, but it wasn't a forced thing you had to do.
Mm-hmm.
The main event was just talking to the chieftain and really getting the quest to go talk to this other, or engage with this other Goliath tribe and then learn their little feud story.
Okay.
The tunnel thing, I was originally going to try to come up with this whole, which I did this in Tomb, a unique thing for each character in the tunnel, because I didn't know who, if any, was going to crawl through the tunnel and experience these fears and things. So I was like, all right, I got to try to attune each one. And then I finally was just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to ask the player themselves, like, hey, what? And I think that actually worked out pretty well.
It does.
Describe to me what your biggest fear or insecurity is, and that's what you experience.
Yep. I like that kind of stuff where you sort of almost force players to go into some role-playing modes through, environmental things that are happening. So yeah, I think that worked really well.
Yeah.
The point where I wish everybody had gone through it, because I would like to hear what everybody else comes up with their characters.
Yeah, I think it's one of those I'm trying to shove it in at the end of the session, and energy levels are drooping.
Right.
But this was a hard one to figure out where to end at. I thought if I ended it when the only cliffhanger moment was I guess when she got challenged maybe initially, but that felt too early. And then after the challenge, after the wrestling match, I could have ended it, but it's well, we still have a lot of, there's just a little bit of dialogue we need left. I was like, well, I want to do the tunnel thing. So I was really struggling with where to end this session. And ultimately it was well, let's introduce the tunnel. So he wants to go through the tunnel, go through that, and then the chieftain will just very quickly give them the spiel on, here's the feud that we have. I like that Raymond was like, why the fuck do we care? Because
that's a question too, of we're coming here to just visit a friend, right?
Well, two things. One, I forget that you guys are assholes, and if I were to come visit you and you were to tell me hey, I've got a feud going with my neighbor, will you go over and fight him for me? I'd be I'm visiting you on vacation right now, man. This is not a cool thing. Do you want
to
do the thing, or do you not want to do the thing? At an RPG, somebody gives you a quest, you're like, no, I got things to do. You came here. You could have chosen not to visit these fucking guys. And the difference between the evil and good is just selfish or selfless. And I just like that Raymond was like, what's in it for us? Why do we care? And I realized I had forgotten the actual incentive, which was on me, which was Frey can upgrade her axe again by doing this. Because literally it was forged here. And I said that earlier, the fact that the axe was forged, and nobody really cared to follow up on that. And I had forgotten to give that incentive.
They made it for the sun, right?
Made it for the sun, right? But the point is that it was made here. They didn't, But my point was, I meant to give that as an incentive, as hey, by doing this, we can actually enhance and upgrade the axe again. And I didn't think about it until Edmund had said that as the character. I was like, all right, I do need to, first of all, you guys are assholes. But second of all, you're right. I do need to actually give you the reward because this is an RPG and you're in it for the loot.
Now, here's the thing on that kind of stuff.
I feel there should be at least one player character among you who should be yeah, we should help.
Well, I mean, none of us. There were those of us who weren't actively denying that we're the call for help.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're talking about this a while back, maybe on one of your DM things, about the difference between what the players want and what the characters want. Because the players are yeah, we came here, we're gonna get a quest, we're gonna do a thing. But the characters need a reason. They need to be sort of like forced into it to a certain degree because the characters like are visiting a friend here.
I feel like
they're not like, beholden to.
I feel like most good aligned characters would want to help, especially when the incentive, which I had to push for. I was hoping one of you would come up with this, and nobody did, so I had to push for it. Which was, hey, 10 Towns is fucked. They need help. We are offering to help them, but in order for us to help them, we need help with our problem first. So I was hoping one of you would actually say, "Oh, you know what? 10 Towns is really fucked."
I guess it didn't occur to me because I don't know what the Goliath can do to help. What I mean, 10 Towns needs like food, right? Like I don't know. The Goliaths already don't have any food for themselves. I'm not sure what they can offer.
They did mention they did have supplies. They had some food, and they had people that could just help like build buildings and shit too. Like they were. I said those lines like after I had Kapunuk, which I had written in my notes. It's like, all right, this is the plan. If the players don't say anything, I'm going to fall back on Kapunuk to be the one to actually bring that up and be like, A, he's going to bring up diplomacy because the chieftain wouldn't necessarily be interested. Yeah. And then B, he's going to mention the fact that, hey, you know, because he witnessed 10 Towns, the rest of them maybe not so much, but he's been telling them about how bad it is. And you know, the Goliaths are, they seem like they're isolationists, but they're like, hey, we can go help. Like, this is a huge crisis, and we can try to help them out. And we don't have much, but we really can't help if we've got this other rival clan. So I will admit I was a tad disappointed in the reaction that all of you had when you're just like, what's in it for us? And I'm like, God damn it.
We don't know these people. They don't mean anything to us. Like, it's like we're visiting, like, I don't know. It's like if I were to go visit a town of people I don't know, and they were to come up to me as I walk in and be like, we need you to go fight this dude who's threatening us.
I feel like good people would be at least be like, yeah, let's listen and let's go try to help you guys. And
would you go do the thing if you drove in with your family and the people dropped out like, we need you, Eric, to go? Like, all I'm arguing is that it's not like being nice is natural, but actively like taking a going off and fighting someone else or whatever, there's got to be some incentive for that. Like some personal stakes, or someone that you care about is in danger, or, you know, something.
Yeah, James, good point. They are the marshals. Now, there are the marshals of 10 Towns. So
that actually is a fair point.
And I was trying to bring up the fact that, like, 10 Towns is in trouble. The Goliaths are willing to help them. And you guys were still just so reticent about doing it. And I was like, I know you guys are always the, like, like, we're the Suicide Squad. We're always the, like, anti-heroes. But this campaign, you guys were the kindest, nicest that you've ever been, player character-wise, compared to previous campaigns.
But
and generally,
the only one who actually disagreed. The rest of us were fine with it. Edmund's the only one who said, like, what's in it for us.
Yeah.
Edmund has scientific reasons for his journey, and this had no scientific purpose to it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think Valravn was opposed to the idea. The only one who actually spoke up against it was Edmund.
Yeah.
For his scientific reasons.
Fair enough. Anything else about Wormdoom Crag?
You mentioned the little spirits are still in play,
the Twingas.
Whatever they are. That's cute. With I genuinely was getting like Galaxy Quest vibes out of that. I'm like, all right, these are little like friendly creatures who are like coming up and playing with us.
Yeah, the idea here is you guys are rewarded for role-playing with these very odd, silly creatures. And it was really funny how some of you were immediately willing to do that, and others were immediately not willing to do that. And I like the fact that I was originally going to be very forthcoming with the information, and then I decided to not and wait. And then finally Edmund was like, well, wait a minute, what about these creatures? Like, all right, give me a roll. And then when he gave the roll and I could give the information, then he was like, all right, yeah, now I'll be nice to him and open my arms. So I was glad that we got to see the natural response from most of the players. And then Edmund's was the strategic, like, okay, let me help and maybe I'll get something in return.
Right.
Well, you described them like birds, and I was looking through my inventory. I was like, oh, I have the ring of animal something where I can speak animals.
Yeah.
So I was going to try to figure out like what these guys wanted or what they were trying to, the plank and all that.
They're not beasts. They're not beasts. They don't have a language. Like, they're very odd little nature spirits, basically. and you just kind of have to treat them like little childlike entities. And if you amuse them, then maybe good things will happen.
Yeah. No, my purpose was to try to communicate with them, but we went that route. I was like, oh, okay. I guess I know who they are, but they're not animals. But
yeah,
let me be friendly to them.
Yeah.
I had to leave, but did Thimbleweed and who kicked the other one off, Celeste? Were they nice afterwards?
No, but the thing is, once you're basically kind to one and you accept it, then that one kind of just gloms onto you and becomes attached to you. So
only 3 of us have one attached to us.
Correct. There were only 3 total. Yeah. So one of them went to Thimbleweed first. He rebuffed it, and then it went to Frey, and Frey accepted it. One of them went to Valravn, and Valravn accepted it. And then the third one went to Celeste. Celeste rebuffed it, and then that's when you did your roll, and then you attracted that one. So there were 3 total. I had notes about which ones they would be interested in based on physical features and things, and then
interesting.
Yeah.
Funny how they went to Thimbleweed first, and he just like kicked it away.
Just immediately like,
yeah, I was like, oh, that's the wrong response, but that's why I enjoyed it, because I was like, this is just something that the players have no idea what's going on.
Maybe it's dangerous, maybe it's not. Yeah,
it's a reverse trap. You have to, normally a trap you try to avoid it to avoid the danger, and this one you have to accept it to get the reward. And yes, Jason, these are their nicest run of characters by far. I would definitely say that.
Yeah.
Compared to, I think
my last character was a straight up racist, so I feel like this.
With the exception of maybe Heather's character in War for the Lost Plane, might have been the nicest character.
Yeah, your guys' War for the Lost Plane characters are relatively nice.
But it was a kind of an exotic world.
Tim was, yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. There wasn't a whole lot of.
Yeah, everybody was already kind of friend or foe, I feel like.
Right.
Scarlet, her character, was that just a one-off character? Scarlet O'Hara.
Yeah, Scarlet O'Hara.
She was in a couple of one-shots, I think, and then became...
okay, not a main character, though.
Right, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But, I mean, she became a main character in War for the Lost Plane. I think that counts.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, she was a nice one, right?
She was very nice.
I think so.
Southern friendly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to me, generally, a good aligned PC, a truly good aligned PC, is one that generally wants to help people. And they're not in it for themselves. That, to me, that is what the good evil axis is. Like, the evil axis is just, do you put yourself above others? Generally look out for yourself. You're in it for yourself. And the opposite end is, do you put others ahead of yourself, and do you help others and look out for others? That's, to me, is the axis of the alignment chart of...
Yeah, I suppose I don't give much weight to the alignment chart in general, but...
Which means I think most player characters are probably more evil than good if they're interested in the mercenary aspect of it,
If you actually gauge player characters by that gauge, most of them would not fall in the good aligned category.
I would agree.
And of ours, I think Scarlet may be the only one. There may be a few others.
Who's actually truly like a good character.
But see, Kalinar was
lawful.
Good. Kalinar was good. I think he had to be good for a paladin.
No, they don't do that anymore. I think he was lawful.
Anymore.
Well, I mean, literally, I think he was lawful neutral. If we want to go back and look at it.
Yeah, it may have been lawful neutral. You're right.
Yeah. Neutral is like your case by case basis. Like some cases you're looking out for others and you want to help them. Other cases you're like, no, fuck that.
Yeah. I guess I look at it with a little bit more complexity than that, in terms of like, characters can be good, but also not actively, seeking out danger in the form of others. A person who stays home and just looks after his family is still a good person, even though they're not traveling out to go save everybody else.
Sure,
you don't have to put yourself in harm's way for others to be good.
Sure, I agree with
that. You just have to, when you're presented.
But if you're an adventurer traveling around the world, you're either doing it. What are you doing it for? Are you doing it for yourself, or are you doing it to go help other people?
I guess that's the good question. Is what are you doing it for? And I think generally speaking, most character players are doing it for a reason that's not.
I would say we have not had too many truly good aligned player characters. People who generally actually want to, every place they go, they want to help people. They want to ask, like, what quests do you have? Let me help.
Also, because I feel like that's kind of a shitty motivation to be like, what's your motivation? What's your character's motivation to go out in the world? I want to help people.
I want to make the world a better place. You think it's a shitty motivation?
It's a shitty motivation.
Wow.
How many of your like favorite like movie, TV characters can you actually say that's their motivation for the actions they take? Like none of them. Like
Really?
It's always. It's usually like reaction to peril, but it's always like protecting something personal to them. It's never like just make the world better. Because it's too two-dimensional, I think.
I didn't know you were this cynical. My God.
I'm not looking at it from like a real world perspective. I'm looking at it from like a narrative perspective of like a character needs like motivations, and just pure benevolence is not a good motivation narratively. Like almost,
I'm stunned.
Every great character that you like, good guy character, is doing the good things that he's doing in response to dangers to things that he wants to protect, or he or she. You know, you got your like, I can't think of any good examples. Most of them are like genre examples, but like your Lord of the Rings, all of those folks, they're not just like we're gonna make the world better. Every single one of those characters is reacting to a threat. They're like, we have to protect our home, so we're going to go do this one thing. Destroy the ring. That's relatively selfish. None of them start out by just like, yeah, let's make the world a better place. Most of them are, in fact, are dragged into it. The hobbits are dragged into it. I mean, I guess, maybe Gandalf. Maybe Gandalf is like, I'm just out here making the world a better place, and he finds himself in the ring of the Fellowship.
I mean, yes, in stories, most characters are going to be dragged into a situation. They don't maybe actively go find something, I guess. I don't know, but...
Yeah, that's what it would equate to. It would equate to, like, I'm going to go find a cause. Not having a cause already.
Sure, but that what is that cause? Is that cause to make yourself stronger? Is it to find power for yourself? Because that's all villain shit.
Yeah, well, mostly it's like to protect something. Like the hobbits are trying to protect the Shire. That's the reason they're doing this.
Then I think that's good aligned.
But they didn't. I guess the equivalent would be like outside of the ring, like literally showing up and then being dragged into this. They would never have like traveled to Mordor on their own.
If they didn't know there was something they needed to do, then yeah,
even if they knew, they wouldn't have. If do you think Frodo, if he had just heard, if he just there's no ring, there's nothing happening in the Shire. The Shire's fine, but he had just heard that Mordor is invading, whatever.
People I think still have to respond to their skill set. I think Captain America is the one I'm thinking in my head over and over and over again. Captain America had no strength, he had no ability, and yet he kept wanting to sign up for. This is the first Avengers movie. He kept wanting to sign up for the war, and then when they asked him, he was like, "Why do you want to do this?" He's like, I just want to go protect people. I want to go help people. So he's just seeking out. He's like, there's a war going on. It's not affecting me personally. I could stay at home. But I am going to go actively go to war because I want to protect people. And that is established every step of the way where he wants to protect. He always puts himself in danger go protect others. He never says, what's in it for me?
and I think the solution to that, and that's the thing, I think you're right about Captain America, but in order for that to work narratively, you have to give them an established threat. It can't just be nebulous. It can't just be, I'm going to make the world a better place. It has to be them reacting to an existing danger. In Captain America's case, he was literally going to fight Nazis. He's like, the Nazis are a threat to the world. I'm going to fight Nazis. So in a D&D sense, if you wrote a character that was like, lawful good and wanted to protect the earth, whatever, you would have to give them a very specific, like, here's the danger that I'm trying to protect the world from. Otherwise, it's just, there's nothing there.
I mean, you, as part of your character creation, you can come up with a specific plot line to protect somebody if that makes you feel better.
It would have to. And once again, I'm not making arguments about actual like people here. I'm making narrative like story arguments. Let's see, Frodo. Frodo might be more of an NPC. That's yeah. Who is dead? Yeah.
I find much of this confounding, I guess. I don't think we disagree as much as it sounds like we are, but I'm failing to explain my point, I think. In terms of the selfless, selfish chart that I use as a barometer for heroes, I think, is are you willing to help others, even if it's not an immediate threat to you? Are you willing to just help somebody if you're walking by, a farm that's on fire and they say, "Help, we need help"? Does your character say, "Well, what's in it for me?" Or do you help them? And I think that's the chart between a evil aligned character is going to be like, well, I mean, you got to pay me to help you, of course. And a good aligned character is like, I'm fucking rushing in to help you out.
And that's fair. And I think our characters would rush into the building. But this is a very different situation of like no one's in active danger right now. This is just some like existing like. I mean, hey, can you take care of this problem that we could take care of ourselves, but we want you to do it?
Well, the problem is, I was hoping to drive the motivation, maybe I failed, is that 10 Towns is in real humanitarian crisis. These Goliaths have offered up their services to help 10 Towns, but they need help with their own problem, which is an ongoing Cold War they have with this other clan. And, would you guys be able to help them with that? Which would in turn hopefully help out 10 Towns. Yeah.
I think we got that at the end, when you kind of had to spell it out to us. I don't know if we actually connect the dots ourselves.
Which is why I was trying to be very proactive with Kapunuk and explaining all this situation. I think my disappointment was I was hoping you all would be more proactive about caring about the state of affairs in 10 Towns. And I know that's a hard thing to do over the course of a long campaign and try to remind you guys about how bad the situation is, but I guess I was hoping more of you would be like, man, we really need to help out these people back in the town that we're working for this whole campaign. Like, we'll be looking out for how we can help them. And if that's, completing our quest faster, then that's something we can do. And, maybe that creates a time urgency. Well, it doesn't. You guys still long rest when you can. Or maybe it, you can try to get aid from others. Well, what's in it for us? So that part, I've been trying to instill a sense of ownership and alliance with 10 Towns.
Yeah.
And maybe I have failed at that a bit.
That's a tough thing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we're all, I think, well, at least in my head, it was very much like, okay, here's how you guys help the situation. You go stop the endless night. I don't think the humanitarian part has ever really popped into my head as like, we need to find a way to get them food. Like, I feel like that's something happening in the background while we try to solve the threat.
It's one of those things where it could be, it's not like it's gonna, I have no mechanical system to penalize you for that. It's just pure.
That's what it would take. I don't know. I mean, in terms of like
it's just pure like role playing and theme that I try to inject is like how bad things are.
Yeah,
and that's just kind of up to you guys to process.
Yep.
But I think we've mentioned that it's just kind of, we're in it for the sometimes the Suicide Squad thing where it's like, hey, give us a mission, let us get stronger, and
I feel and I think that's kind of, well, I think that's kind of the D&D attitude in general of like, well, okay, all this other stuff, all these other repercussions may be happening. Something actually similar happened with Storm King's Thunder, where there was in the background the giants were like attacking cities, and there was like that threat was happening in the background, but the focus for the players is to resolve the threat so that those things stop.
Yeah.
Versus like, helping rebuild the town or get the town food.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to turn that into a mechanical thing if you wanted to really like force the players down that road.
I don't because
yes. It's like otherwise how do you do that?
Well, the mechanical thing is you put a time limit on the players, and that's how I tell you guys can't long rest because time is running out. Like, all of 10 Towns is going to die.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to do that narratively and not literally put a timer on the screen, because Tomb of Annihilation does that as written, and I thought that was so shitty, where it's like, hey, you guys have like 30 days to solve this problem, or your benefactor, which I didn't even use her, dies, and you don't get any of the rewards or anything that she promises you. Yeah. And if you look at the map and the way it's charted, like, they don't even get fucking halfway through the jungle in 30 days. Like, this is ridiculous. And I dropped the whole time frame, but I still wanted to create that kind of sense of urgency. But in Tomb, there wasn't any kind of, like, you didn't have any connection. You know, there's the one town, and there's no way to promote a global a regional crisis that was a global crisis while you guys were in that place. So it didn't feel like you guys had no say or one way or the other. This time, there's a similar crisis, and there is a chance to instill how bad it is and have, like, constant reactions to it and the nastiness. So, and that can help creating that sense of urgency, but I think it's kind of up to the players and the DM together to create it narratively, because I don't like having a mechanical system. I hate that in video games. I don't want to do that here in an RPG where I literally have a ticker going, because what happens if you fight, like, whatever, okay, everybody's dead, whoops, like, so I don't know. I don't know what the best solution is for that.
I think the problem this kind of comes back to, like, the video game thing of, like, the battle that's happening in the background of your fight. You kind of just know that battle is going to resolve itself. Yeah. However your fight goes. Yeah. I think it becomes that. It becomes like, yes, there's a humanitarian crisis going on, but it's going to resolve itself based on how our individual quest goes, not by anything we do outside of that quest. And I don't know how you get around that. I really don't.
Yeah, like, I guess I was trying to do things a little bit differently here. Where, like, yes, that's still the case, but I wanted to try to instill a sense of ownership over the region, because you guys were marshals, like, literally working for that group and doing those towns and meeting all those people. Yeah. And then B, fuck that region up. And then C, hopefully make it more passionate that you all would really want to give you that sense of urgency to save this region, while still obviously being able to go around and do all the quests and stuff. So my thinking was like, well, you know, I still want them to explore the content that I've got prepared, but hopefully they will at least have that in the back of their minds, like, oh yeah, we need to do what we can if it presents itself to try to help those people. But that is a bit of a change from previous campaigns, I think.
I think the idea is great. I really do. I think probably what you needed to have done the last time we were in town is probably describe to us how many more had died since the last time we were there. Like, actually start giving us numbers. Like I know you're thinking about, like, you don't want to turn into a mechanical thing. Yeah. But from what my understanding is that the last time we were in Bryn Shander was pretty much exactly like the time before that we were in Bryn Shander. Like, it's obviously it's a bad shape. Yeah. But then it's sort of static bad shape. You know, like, nothing's changing. They're just in this general, like, refugee status that they're going to be in until we resolve this situation.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much true. I just was hoping from because my point was I didn't want to impose a mechanical penalty or even benefit to helping. I just wanted to have that be a narrative thing that you guys would be invested in.
Yeah. You know what you needed, and then this is like the super tropey, like, fantasy storytelling stuff. You needed like a little kid to, like, come up to us last time we were in Bryn Shander.
The Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, and, like, beg us to help because their family's, starving and, like, there's not enough food. Like, make it personal somehow, because as it is, Bryn Shander is kind of, like I said, the static refugee camp that is waiting for us to solve.
Ballista's back there. You guys care more about Ballista than any random child NPC I could come.
We also keep joking so much that Ballista's fine and opening a franchise that we've almost made that canon in our heads. So I feel like she's in our minds. There's no danger there.
Yeah, she'll be fine.
Exactly.
And the tricky thing is the camera lens is always on you guys. It's not like I can go back and, like, show scenes of, the towns getting in bad shape.
I'm trying to think of a good like movie example of, like, a similar thing where, like, like, you're following the characters around and they go back to the main city and they see it's all fucked up. Yeah. But almost always in that movies, that scene is just there to galvanize them to finish their quest. Yeah. Versus, like, them to then become, more egalitarian.
If that becomes your motivation, not long rest too often, I will take it as a construction. You're like, guys, we got to get this done. We can't long rest again. We can't spend another 18 hours circling the air.
I really think you could sell that. I think you could sell that pretty well as
I
a
might try to do that next time.
like next time we see a town or something, like really like lay into the like, okay, they have this many days worth of food.
Yeah.
They have this many people, and like have like, I don't know, the town lady or something say like, hey, we're only going to literally be able to feed these people for 4 more days or something, something like that.
Yeah,
like
I probably should have entered another sense of urgency when you guys were in town last time. I think it was only a day or two later, but I think having an update would have been maybe productive, or maybe not, because again, with the way D&D works, that would have been weeks ago at this point. So
that's the other problem with this whole conversation we're having, is that how many of us remember what happened 3 weeks ago in enough detail to where it's driving our motivations a month later. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But that you just have to keep doing flashbacks.
Previously on, there's so many flashbacks.
Yeah.
This one especially, man, I have really twisted myself into a pretzel with all the different callbacks and
it's great,
things
but
that happen in the beginning and season later.
Of weight on your shoulders of like you've weaved all these plots together so well that you now have to like recap a lot.
I myself had to look up, because I know that would come up, the name of the Goliath that you found dead with the axe. I had to go back in the book and look up that dude's name, because I know that would be relevant. So I'm even had to do my research back on this shit. It's a cool part of the campaign, and it makes it so some of those through lines were established and others weren't, but it was easy to make those connections. So it's been fun to weave all that together.
Yeah.
And as far as side quests go, this is not the most relevant right now. But I think you guys have had this one for a while, so it was hard
True.
It's the open world RPG problem is I don't.
We're gonna go do all the side quests and
some of them are gonna be more relevant than others, and it might be more like pausing in the narrative or something. But and this one I tried to make it a little bit more relevant here, and I've changed some things about it, but I think I have no idea how you guys are gonna respond to the next area. That it could just be a fucking combat encounter. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess.
Right, yeah.
But essentially, we already
could be the what was the fort in your last campaign where you were intending it to be a social encounter and it just fucking turned over.
I will prepare for those eventualities because I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Other than you guys seem to have who goes first? Your speech or phrase axe really is what it's going to come down to. I feel like either of those could happen.
Yeah.
But I will be on the table.
Literally, we're talking about impersonating the leader and sowing discord.
I would love to hear that. You pull another Dearth Sunblight maneuver.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see. But essentially, you guys have completed Wormdoom Crag, and then you can go on your way to the next area, and we'll see how we do there. It'll be exciting.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, Jason. The cutaways. I've never done that. Like literally, like while you guys are doing this, the camera pans to Bryn Shander, and I've never done that just because it feels like they wouldn't know that, so it's hard to sell it. But maybe you could get away with it. I don't know.
I kind of flirted with that in Tomb with the Sohn sisters. I think I had scenes of them, like there was one that was actively like they were hunting you guys, but there was one where they were making that predator that ended up hunting you guys. They were taking bits and pieces of you guys. I forgot how maybe you guys were like at night dreaming about it or something, so I tried to make it not a literal cutaway, but I think I did do something similar to start that predator sequence.
Yeah.
So I could do a cutaway and just show how 10 Towns is really fucked, and like next time you guys try and long rest, I'll just show like a child like starving at the side of the street or something. Like, we only have this many hours. I hope those marshals so bad.
Every time you long rest, a child dies.
There's a little counter. A little counter appears on the screen. A little ticker.
A little child icon appears on the screen every time we long rest.
It'll be a population bar that just plummets, like slowly plummets, and then every time you long rest, it's like a huge gap gets reduced again.
That would be pretty fun.
And if it were a video game, it would be like mechanical like penalties to that somehow.
Right.
All right. Well, this has been an excellent conversation. I think we went off on multiple tangents.
We debated so much, we put Raymond to sleep.
We did do that. Yeah. I myself am going to be sleeping very soon. I think that will do it for this week's Frostside chat. Thank you to Chris and Raymond. I am Eric. Thank you to all the wonderful fans for watching and listening, and we will see you all next week.
Indeed. See you next week.
Bye.